Welcome back to Community Connectors. Today we're in downtown Oklahoma City, and we're going to be speaking with Kristin Garcia, who is the Executive Director of the Verge OKC. As a reminder, Community Connectors is the podcast that talks about what it takes to run a thriving community space in the modern era. Community spaces are those, beloved places like libraries, parks, museums, coffee shops, etc. So I hope you enjoy this episode with Kristin.
Welcome to the Verge.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, what do you...
So we are a nonprofit entrepreneurship hub. So our focus is really in helping make resources more accessible to entrepreneurs and also helping to create jobs.
Okay, yeah.
So that's really what makes us a little different kind of in the whole co-working space of things for the community.
Yeah.
So we really help people kind of grow from just needing co-working to needing offices.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things that we decided to do that we've seen with similar organizations is we have membership agreements. We don't do leases because I don't want to be a landlord.
Sure. Got it.
And also, starting a new business is hard. And so we've had businesses that, funding changed, mostly with the current administration and some executive orders.
Sure.
Or contracts had to get cut because of changes. And we've worked with those members to figure out what would work better for them. But if capital focus on an office didn't make sense anymore, then we didn't want to trap them to that.
So this is kind of like the co-working area over here, and then these are like the offices, like dedicated offices.
Right.
This is like a...
This is our event space. Yeah, so we wanted to give our community the best corner office view. So
cool.
It's a little bit of where we've been with the memorial views over here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people who aren't even familiar with that anymore.
Wow.
Or if they just moved here and maybe they didn't.
If you're not from here.
Yeah, and you don't feel comfortable going. We're able to really oversee a very peaceful place. And, we had a big Oklahoma City Thunder finals co-working party day.
Oh, nice.
And so the parade went right there. So
a
lot of people hung out here in the morning. We had TVs set up and then went out there. One of the events that we host that just happened last night was pizzas. Oh my gosh.
Pizzas and pitches.
Pitches, pizza, and pints.
There we go. Pitches, pizza.
Right there.
I see it on the sign.
And so we try to provide just a very informal way for people to pitch their ideas and their businesses. And then we ask the founder to tell their story. So then on this side, it's really kind of the aspirational of where you want to go next. So I know you met Naoma and Peely.
Yep.
They already had an office space and they came on one of the tours because they've been helping us with graphic design. So they're kind of our in-house contracted branding and market design team. But for them, they were like, well, we deserve to be in a place like that. And I think that's what we've really done with this space, is create something that everyone is deserving to be a part of. And the other interesting thing about this building is on the 4th floor, there's a place called Citizen House, which is a downtowners club.
Okay.
Very much like a downtown country club.
Sure.
So I tell people you literally could have an elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Depending on who's going up to a club on floor
interesting.
4, and then we're 5
be
and
on
6.
the elevator with
Exactly. So really, you need
Yeah.
to be ready because you never know who you could run into.
No, yeah, that's very true.
So have great community space, and really just any open space is available for someone to co-work from. We'll also do some free co-working Wednesdays. We can encourage just people to come in and to get to know each other.
Big. It's such I remember your older space, and I just think this is is it twice as big? Is it?
Yeah, it's about twice as big.
Okay,
So we went from a little over 1,600 square feet to a little over 27,000 square feet. Of course, we're still working on some paint touch-ups.
Oh, sure.
And
Very
then
beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we really wanted to create
a
big open space because everyone hangs out in the kitchen at a party anyways. So why not have that? Of course, your usual business center items. People can co-work here.
Yeah.
We also have meeting rooms that are reservable for our members. And then this is our classroom space. So whether somebody wants to do a workshop, a training, we host retreats here. And this is where we host 1 million cups now.
So 1 million cups happens here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were doing it at Dunlop, and then once we moved here, we're like, it'll be a little more convenient if we get out here. Sure. But then it's fun because those are the days we do free co-working. So then we also tell them we'll just stick around
and work here.
And we'll usually do workshops those same days.
Yeah.
Another thing that we added from the old space, we didn't have anywhere for someone to nurse. And so we added wellness rooms to both floors. So primarily focus on nursing. Second could be just, a cry room. Entrepreneurship is hard.
Yes.
I've taken like 4 naps in here at this point.
Yeah, there's different meaning of cry room. and
Exactly.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah, exactly. But just that private space, because we know it's hard. Mostly like when you have other things going on in your life in between, and there's not a lot of places just to tuck away, mostly because we have so much glass because of the natural light.
Yeah, got it.
We needed a couple little corners for people to sneak away.
This is wonderful. I mean, sorry, as somebody who ran like the 404, all this, I'm sitting there thinking about all the different problems this place actually solves. Like this, the way the space laid out actually solves. I'm like, that's amazing,
Well, I think a lot of it came down to, initially when I was brought on in 2022 by the board that started the organization, they wanted me just to build an incubator. And I thought, well, if we do that, that just means people in their offices and that's it. So I was like, why don't we go with the concept of an entrepreneurship hub? And you can run into people here, whether they're serial entrepreneurs, they're funders.
Yeah.
We have the G-Beta accelerator program that's starting today.
Cortado,
so we can kind of walk through. So this is a new group of businesses going through the G-Beta pre-accelerator program.
Accelerator, great.
And then we wanted to have like a formal boardroom so that, and you probably know this from your experience, but as a startup, you don't want to spend all this money, but you want to have the presence that what you're doing.
You have to look professional, even though you're like, right.
And so we wanted a room that's just a little more formal. This door even opens up, so if people want to host an event, then they can open. So, because you also know meeting rooms sometimes are never used. So, trying to create multiple purposes for it.
This is wonderful. I mean, I like that you're really going from like the beginner person with an idea to scale as big as you can get. I mean,
exactly.
And that's kind of, I'm guessing, I don't know, but like some amount of like tie-in with Cortado as well, to where when companies are doing well and look like they're on that scalable kind of path,
exactly,
that they're already known in the ecosystem, and so it's not like
which was maybe sometimes when I think of all the work that you all had put into things between like 2008 and about like 2017. There was momentum, there were creative people, there were people in technology, but like funding was still very minimal. And spaces were very minimal. And I feel like now we've kind of reversed that. And so now we're trying to bring everyone who siloed themselves previously, but now there's more funding opportunities, there's accelerator programs, there's all sorts of stuff. So if we can be the place that people can start here, and it's like the one-stop shop, and then we connect them to the resources in the community. They may never come back here again, but if we help to connect them, this was the other thing that we needed. We're just like Zoom rooms.
Zoom rooms.
So these are all just first come, first serve. We have 3 downstairs and then 5 up here, but soundproof. Also great spaces for people to do podcasts, creatives to do some voice work if they want to do that. Quieter kind of co-working spaces here. And then let me see if this is open. There's a secret door. The secret door is right here. We'll see if it's unlocked. If not, I'll have to show you all.
Oh, wow. Okay. I did not expect that to be a door. Whoa. Wow. Now this is beautiful.
So again, there's the Citizen House on the 4th floor. So we say this is where Citizen House and the Verge meet, but you don't have to have the Citizen House membership. And so we wanted like your deal signing room, your check writing room. If you needed something that was a little more upscale and you wanted to celebrate privately and not with the larger group, then you can come and do this. A place
where you can have a book about Monet and it would be fine. Right, I get it.
So this is all thanks to actually Susan Mooring from Cortado worked with the designer and designed the whole room. So it was just nothing, and they really, I think they just hung up all that artwork. So yes, you'll have to go through our library of all our donated books.
And how long have you been in this space as opposed to your old space that was in Bricktown?
So we were in Bricktown from January of 2022 until last October. And we moved in here in October.
Oh, so October. So it is kind of new.
Well, I
don't feel so bad about not having been here then.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. Well, and honestly, October, we were the first tenants of this building, so elevators didn't fully work. We literally had desk chairs, desks, coffee, and Wi-Fi, and we're like, we're just gonna make it work. But just having that connection that's much more informal.
Yeah.
I mean, for startups to be able to talk to funders grabbing coffee as opposed to having a scheduled meeting is a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
We just got some local art up here, so
Okay,
this was fun. That just was put up on Friday.
Yeah.
So we want to showcase also the creatives of the community, because we really need to have this kind of like business, technology, and creativity in building the next businesses. So so a lot more offices on this floor.
Combination of non-linear thinkers, technology, creatives, capital, like it all kind of has to come together for a company.
Exactly.
It's great.
And the way Oklahoma is, it's like you're a coffee away from meeting somebody.
Yeah.
So if we can just get that started, then that's really a lot of our goal. And we also work with nonprofits. Over here is Verge OKC. They're part of that Crossroads project where they're turning Crossroads Mall into more schools and projects. So their team is over here, and then this is our podcast / meeting room.
Okay.
So we wanted to create a space for people to record.
Yeah.
But,
wonderful.
But if we did that, then it was just going to be a closet.
Right.
So we're like, well,
too much. Yeah.
If we have to like divide it up at some point, we could always do that.
It's got a nice background with this, so
So this is the new Verge. So even though the Verge is new to begin with, this is the 2.0.
This is Verge 2.0.
Exactly. Or we always tell everyone like Bricktown was our beta too. Like it wouldn't have made sense to just go and build something out right away. And so we were able to see that there, learn from other people, get a sense of whatever our entrepreneurs want. Again, with having a mixed use of people in here, partners like Portato have a different price range than entrepreneurs. 100%. So it helps to kind of balance and offset some of the costs. And it also helps to have then other expertise in here, and it's not reliant on our tiny team, which is Nathan and I full-time.
Okay.
And now we just have one part-time employee. So we very much rely on our community to help with washing dishes, turning on the lights, closing the doors, and that makes the space really nice too.
Welcome to Community Connectors, Kristin. It's always wonderful to speak with you. We've actually known each other kind of on and off there for 7-8 years.
Similar circles.
So, and as I was saying to her before we started recording, what's fun about this episode for me is that this is my community, right? So like the technology startup scene in Oklahoma City and downtown, like these are the events I go to.
So like my people.
These are my people, right? So it's just very fun. So please correct me if I say this wrong, but you are the executive director of the Verge OKC.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. Well, great. So please tell me about the Verge OKC. So what is it?
So the Verge is a nonprofit entrepreneurship hub. Our goal is really to help connect entrepreneurs and small businesses to the resources that they need to grow and scale their business. We really exist to help ultimately create jobs. As a nonprofit, one of the statistics that has really hit me is a 1% increase in entrepreneurship could result in a 2% decrease in poverty for a community.
Wow, okay.
And so if we think of this more from like, we're a nonprofit that supports for-profits.
Sure.
We're really a nonprofit that's helping to create jobs. And we know that there's a lot of times when people get up and running with their business, the first thing is let's sign a lease, let's get set up somewhere, and then you're just isolated and lonely in your own space. So really by creating community with our office space and co-working options, it's really helping them through the process of growing their business and not having to utilize so much capital and just getting a space up and running. But then we provide workshops and trainings, networking events and programs that center around the needs of our community. And also, just like our wall says, we want to be a place where ideas take flight. So people come here with ideas for nonprofits and for-profits all the time. And, usually the first thing is, I need funding. And we kind of walk that backwards to kind of figure out what are the other things they need to do.
I need a customer first.
Exactly. Let's do some customer discovery. And also, let's figure out what your sales strategy is going to be. I think for too long, entrepreneurship focused around these great ideas that someone will just write you a check for. And we know that's not the reality of the world anymore. It's about number of customers, number of sales, revenue, that might result in a check being written. But in a lot of cases, there's probably something else you could do to make money or to receive funding.
Yeah.
And mostly in the middle of the country, we're trying to figure out that may not look like VC funding. It may look like something else. So how can we, as our community grows, help each other to make that impact?
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And so how long have you worked at The Verge or been a member of The Verge?
Yeah, so I started at The Verge in 2022 in January. The initial board hired me as the first employee. And, really in 2022, we were located in Bricktown in an older industrial space that was really great and just connecting people and getting everyone off the ground with it, what they were doing. But it gave us time to kind of test what would actually work out better.
Yeah.
And then we moved here to this location in October, hired Nathan in October of 2022. And we have a small but mighty team.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And you were saying you've been in this building since October of last year.
yes,
correct?
2024.
And what were some of the lessons that you learned from the first building to then when you were planning kind of for the next building? What were some things?
So I would say, internet is always priority. So I think there were some times in the old space, one, it had older, coaxial connections and everything. So we knew at some point we were going to get fiber. And so we were able to get that here in the brand new building fairly easy. The other thing that we're still working on is like the number of IPs that we have running.
Sure.
The more popular the space gets, now we're having to increase a lot of that. The other thing, it sounds silly, but this becomes some people's homes to a certain extent because of the amount of time you spend with your business. And we were just excited to get commercial appliances.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure.
People need their coffee. They need to be able to.
There's a kitchen right over
there's
there.
a whole kitchen
Yeah.
over there with
Yeah.
commercial appliances.
Yep.
But just some of those little things so that it made the day-to-day of like your business just run smoother because people love a space that has natural light, that is open and inviting to other people so that they can meet their clients and pitch here. So just really trying to make it a nice, like open, friendly space, which was a huge part of, not that we didn't have that in our old space, but it was just older and less windows and everything.
Yeah. So you have a long history in kind of the tech and startup space in Oklahoma City. So could you tell people about that? I mean, everything from, you were with Techlahoma and 1 Million Cups and Francis Tuttle, and you were like an entrepreneur in residence at OU. Could you just kind of talk about your experience in the technology and startup community that is kind of the Oklahoma City community?
Yeah, awesome. So just a little bit of background I share with people. So it's my third time living in Norman, Oklahoma in my lifetime. So in total, I've lived in Oklahoma for 16 years. But I moved back here in 2017 after working with my family's tech startup. So my brother created a company that I worked with, and the problem we were solving was military transition to civilian jobs. And the Department of Labor has always had a way to crosswalk that. And my dad and I basically went through military manuals with both my dad and my brother being veterans and translated what that would look like, then work with a development team to actually get that all scaled out and, get it on a platform. And he still works with that company, but
your brother does or your dad?
My brother does. And so my brother's out of San Francisco. So I was able to learn a lot working for the company, being in San Antonio, Austin, and then San Francisco. But again, you can be in these big cities and still not know a whole lot.
Yes.
I give my brother a hard time, but he's like, I went to Cornell for my MBA. There's still a lot he does not know. And he can admit to that now. But I had worked in higher education prior to that at universities in, student affairs, academic affairs, and just like getting your degree, it's not as easy as just a straight line. And I think it's the same thing as for starting a business. So I figured it'd be nice to actually maybe start to do that a little bit more from my experience. So when I moved back to Oklahoma in 2017, I worked at the OU Innovation Hub. And so my initial entry into technology for Oklahoma was the fact that my job was to help anyone who wanted to start a technology-based business because they didn't have a skill set for that. And I'm not a developer by trade, nor an engineer. And so I tapped into Techlahoma and I thought, why not go to the people that this is what they do on a daily basis and get them involved with the university. And so we started doing free co-camp meetups in Norman. We had Techlahoma members who were mentoring student startup groups. OU started Hacklahoma as their first hackathon that they started to have. I got involved with that, got mentors and volunteers from Techlahoma involved.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and I went to work
Things
for...
changed.
Things changed, life changed. I served on the board for Techlahoma for 2 years, and then moved to Francis Tuttle Technology Center and started a pre-accelerator there, and then but continued to make those connections, because I mean, just like at the universities, everyone's so isolated by college. Same thing was happening here. Like the business people were over here, the creatives were over here, the tech people were over here.
Yeah.
The funders were over here. Nobody was talking to each other. And so during COVID is when we started to meet with a variety of people that were like, how do we just help each other? And so we started the Tech Plus Plus meetups, the idea of getting people share your stories. What are you building? Get better connected, get out of the house. And then because of that, the board that started The Verge saw that work I was doing and said, would you want to start something that like it's a physical space to be able to do that? And that kind of connected me here. But I think ultimately I've just always had like a desire to know about technology. Like I built my HTML websites back in the late 90s at OU because that's all you could do.
Yeah.
I would go to South by Southwest in Austin all the time and just loved being around all the new things that were happening. So I think that's where my excitement lies, is like it's always the next iteration of things that are happening in the world.
Well, that's wonderful. And yeah, you were mentioning Tech Plus Plus, which I was saying is the thing that I still go to every time that you have it. And who is your community? Like who, you were mentioning a lot of different types of people and different interests. Who would you say kind of makes up the community that you're trying to bring together with your events and that feels very welcome at the Verge and places like that? Who would you say is your community?
I tell a lot of people we're creating a community of the next business leaders of Oklahoma City. If we want to see change in our cities and our communities, like we have to be a part of that. So I really get inspired by people who want to just see that happen. Maybe the status quo is not where they want to sit, and that could be in any industry. So it gets exciting when we get groups of people in here connecting and meeting, and then they go and they form some new thing. And I'm like, perfect, because I know earlier we were talking about like we all can't be the same people that always do it. We need to encourage and empower the next people. And during COVID, we would even make jokes, some of us within like the ecosystem building community, of if I can just be a permission giver to people of like, try it, do it, why not? And then this is a safe space to connect with people, do it, then that's ultimately what I feel like we're creating. And I think that's why it becomes so inviting, because everyone's coming in here with ideas. Everyone's coming in here with the desire just to make the world better. And we all have different skill sets to do that.
And I'm fascinated by what you said about like people were in different silos and you did a lot of work to kind of bring people together from their silos. Please, could you talk about how you did that? Because I know that was a problem that I ran into, that a lot of other community builders have run into in the past. So what did you do? What did you find worked in getting people kind of out of their silos and speaking with each other?
So I think part of it is like you have to make yourself uncomfortable first. So I would tell people, if I told you my mom was cooking dinner tomorrow and come over to the house, she wants to make as many people a free meal as possible, and then I said, but I'm not going to be there, but you're more than welcome to come. Like, what's the likelihood that you would go to my mom's house? You don't know who my mom is.
Very strange.
So a lot of cases it was like me inviting people and then going to those events. So I would say at this point, I go to probably a lot less things than I used to, just because, life, and we all get tired. We were talking about burnout earlier. But I think for people to invite others to participate and then go with people, you go out of your comfort zone. Again, I think me even contacting Techlahoma the first time as somebody who worked at OU, they were like, who is this person? Like, she's not an engineer. Why does she want to be involved? And I thought, well, I need your expertise, and I think you need more people who have ideas. So how do we work together on that? So I think part of it is like putting yourself in a position where if you're needing to connect to those people, you make the effort to go and connect with them first and then invite them.
Yeah.
So that has been a huge part of it, is just the extra time and energy to do that. I think also just in the community we're creating, we very much joke that we're in their business as much as they're in our business, because it's helpful for me to know what every person is working on and where their struggles are. And then if there's someone we can connect them to, we want to make that connection, and then people come here and kind of do that together. So that probably was the biggest thing, is just spending more time actually interacting with people and reaching out. And that's why I even told you I was excited to meet you and hear about your story more, probably.
Yeah, I'm old school Oklahoma City startup community, not lately, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And yeah, I really appreciate what you're saying there, and also just the fact that you're kind of mentioning that your actions were almost some of those bridge building type of activities. And it's funny because I'm remembering like calling I2E and calling some, and to be fair, everyone was very nice I ever spoke to in Oklahoma. But it is kind of like, who are these people,
Yeah.
And if you're in a new community, you don't know them,
Yeah.
And so that's, I mean, it's just wonderful,
Yeah.
what you've been doing. And so yeah, so could you tell me a little bit about the types of events that you've been hosting that has that impact, that's for kind of for your type of community?
Yeah.
What have you been hosting? What have you been up to?
Yeah. So one of the things that we initially hosted in our old location that has transformed into Free Co-working Wednesday was just literally inviting people to come co-work that either also help entrepreneurs or just other entrepreneurs in general, to just have a space where everyone could just ask each other questions while you're working. Right now with our Free Co-working Wednesday, it's turned into some of the district managers of Oklahoma City. So, Uptown, Plaza, Adventure District, all of those people,
Yeah.
they don't have offices for the most part. And so they will come here and they'll all meet during the summer. They all had like a color theme for snacks for the day when they would come. So it's like, everyone bring yellow. But they were, for the first time, even just talking in their districts and not feeling like they had to find a whole new place to do that, or someone had to host it all the time.
Yeah.
So I think just in general, kind of those open invitations to co-work has been one of those, just, it seems like it's such a small thing, but it has been big. We host Pitches, Pizza, and Pints. And so the idea of that was, we have, formal events like 1 million cups or demo days where, this is the format, be very specific. But we wanted more options just for people to get up, and maybe it's the first time that you're sharing with people outside your family that you're going to do this crazy idea.
Yep.
And we've added to that now a founder story. So a founder comes and tells their own story, shares some of their information, and then there's the quick pitches. We do our On the Verge workshops, which are training and development focus workshops. So this month was focused on processes. We've had them focus on accounting and taxes, and even, HR soft skills training, because that's probably the one area that most small businesses don't have, like an HR person that they're going to pay for. So if we can help with professional development, we're doing that. And then last week we hosted Bankers and Barbecue, which was a second time we've done it. And that is just, we're trying to get people more exposed to the local banking community. There's probably more funding options than people know, depending on the local bank that you work with and those relationships you build. But we're probably going to involve that into now having also lawyers and accounting groups. And it's just being able to kind of shop around and build relationships without feeling like you have to commit to something.
So, our program here, this podcast, is about helping people run successful and thriving communities and community spaces, right? So what it takes, kind of helping community builders. So obviously you've done a lot to connect, silos and getting a lot of people together. So what is your opinion in the year 2025? What do you think it takes to run a successful community space?
So when we were able to create this new location, one of the things we kept in mind was, how do we create a community and a space that people want to be in? They don't have to be in.
Yeah.
In 2025, we have so much hybrid work, life stresses, other things happening. So really to create a community space that provides opportunities for a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of adjustment. We've worked with some businesses to share offices just because financially that just makes more sense for them. I think even just pivoting our events, we've had these events, these signature events, but we've also like evolved them as we've needed to. So I think just being flexible and being able to ask for probably more feedback than normal is huge. I even got feedback this morning from somebody that they were like, the microwaves are really dirty. And so I went and I cleaned the microwaves. But I think people appreciate that we're constantly asking them to give it, like if they want to do an event, we want to host that for them. So I think if community spaces can also be open to your most active people being involved with the programming, I think that's a huge part of it too, because then it does really create a community space. With our team being small, I think there's some people who are here at 6 a.m. There's some people here till midnight, but they all help to keep the community moving. They lock the doors and move everything around. And that's just a benefit, I think, and a testament to the fact that we're creating a community over just like a physical space.
Yeah. So I've heard this concept. It was actually from somebody in Tulsa. So from Matt Hancock, who runs the Tulsa County Parks, and he mentioned this concept of like casual, connected, committed members, which I thought was really fascinating. Kind of where people are in their journey with your community. And so he was talking about having like programs and events for the different types of members. And would you say that the types of events that you're having, I know I'm just throwing this at you,
It's okay.
but would you say they're more aimed at kind of getting the new people, the people who are not members of the community, to become kind of casual and aware of it, or more for like people who are already kind of connected and they're already, they might already be working on a business or they're co-working here or something like that, or like the committed, the people who are ride or die, Verge, and they're like, so what would you say the types of events that you have, who do they tend to be geared towards and why? Like,
I would say probably 75% of our events are geared towards the new entries, the new members, the potential members, getting our partners here to also meet with a number of people. Because I still feel like for Oklahoma City, there's still that, that starting point that we really need to highlight. I would say then the other 25% are now going, and this is community-wide, we're kind of working to increase the growing and scaling part of businesses. So those would be the people who are already here, already in other programs, already making some sort of revenue, but they're needing to figure out what to do next. I feel like sometimes those activities are things that are a little bit more small group, one-on-one. I think as people get more involved in their business, it becomes a little harder. But at the same time, some of those businesses also have like that we have these events because when they hire new people, then they're like, go get involved. Go get involved with this group of people. And it's taking that off of their plate. But I would say really it's probably the new people who are trying to get exposed to the community and what they're trying to do.
wonderful. And this is a question that I really would like to hear your thoughts on, which is, what do you think it takes to get people off of the couch, off of their phone, and into one of your events or into the building? What do you, and talking with each other, what do you think it takes?
So I think going back to like the flexibility, we've had to be flexible about time of doing events. I think, in a world where everyone's kind of going in different directions, sometimes it's, oh, well, let's try to do these morning events. Let's try to do these later evening events. We hosted the Summer Startup, which is our own version of a summer or of a startup weekend in July. We had 90 people register to come here for the whole weekend. And for that group, because that was the first time that we were doing that here, and we charged them $15 a person, which helped to cover some snacks. One person made the comment of like, I can't believe you convinced me to pay $15 to hang out on my weekend and to work on business. And so for them, it was really, oh, I get to go actually meet people and try to work on something. So that actually seemed to be more successful than we had even hoped it was going to be for the first time that we did it. So I think there are people who really want to have a hands-on like work connection experience, and we don't have a lot of that happening right now. So we've now had other people kind of encouraged to try to do some different things. So I think that was probably a the biggest tests of like how do we get people off the couch? Because even like for us, like we had to be here at,
Because you had to be
I
at
say
this
us,
weekend.
I had to be here at 7:30 in the morning on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
But people beat me here, and they were just ready to go and ready to like be challenged. So that could be the other thing, depending on the type of community, is the challenge. And Nathan's wife is going to run an ultimate for the first time, and she wanted to go run the trail this past weekend and run 20 miles. And I guess he said that they had the water station set up as if it was the run day. And he was like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like if she actually got to mimic and prep better for what she was doing versus just going out for a run, he's like, I guess I understand why she went. So I think probably challenging people more than what we think we would. I mean, a happy hour is a happy hour.
Can you talk about that? I mean,
Yeah.
I've never heard that perspective. So
Yeah.
instead of like making it convenient for people, you're actually saying the opposite. You're saying challenge people
Yeah,
to get them kind of off the couch and
exactly.
doing something. What could you talk about?
So yeah,
that?
I think there's a free food and drinks that attracts people to
Sure.
certain things, obviously. But I think it's also, oh, this is different. This is a challenge. It might be a competition. It might be the opportunity of getting like real world experience. And that seems like a greater value when you could just like email somebody, right, or connect on LinkedIn. So when we can make some of that real and give people the opportunity to like really challenge themselves, that's huge. So I think it just depends on probably the type of people within that community and what they're really looking for.
So speaking of challenges, as a community builder, what do you find are major challenges to building a community, keeping the community connected, just everything involved. What do you find as big challenges in your role as a community builder?
Communication, I think, is a huge challenge right now. There's so much online in our email, now text messages all the time. So I think for us, it's been how do we connect with people to know so they know things are happening because there's so much happening. One of our team members started Under the Door News. That was probably something I had pushed her. I was like, we should print up something and like stick it under their desk or under their door. And she was like, why?
For people within the building.
Yeah. So because some of these members, like if we're not sending them calendar appointments, because I'm that person, if I don't get a calendar appointment, I probably will forget that it's supposed to be happening. Getting a head nod over there. And then, when we moved to a new place, we have to have rules, right? You have to have guidelines, and to email everyone and say, stop putting non-recyclable things in the recycle bin seemed like an easy thing, but it was not. So it was, what really was a matter of like old school, like putting it under their desk, putting it on their desk or under their door, on their desk. And so I just think everyone's so distracted that it's one, just letting people know it's happening. Because there was an event I really wanted to go to yesterday, and again, didn't have it on my calendar, forgot about it, saw the post later, and I was like, I really wanted to go to that. So I think we're running into that with everybody as a whole. So I think the other thing is like the challenge of like, what is too much communication in different ways also. So if you go into our bathrooms, we do have like schedules and signs in the bathroom because you're either reading your phone or you're reading what's on the door.
Yeah.
But so that's like at least ways we're trying to tackle it from like the physical sense here.
Yeah.
But virtually it just becomes, I think, a little bit harder to kind of get throughout the noise of things that are happening. And I think as a result of that too, then people I think are just overwhelmed right now. So if we can have those fun events and programs that at least people can maybe not think about all of the things overwhelming them right now, to be able to do that, I think is important for some people as well.
Yeah, don't overlook the communication channel that is the building, right?
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
like I think I saw one downstairs. There's like a board that just has like flyers, and you know what I mean? So it doesn't all have to be technology.
Exactly.
Well, that's wonderful. So, what benefits do you find that people experience when they decide to kind of make the Verge like their third place or their community or start to come here more often? What have you found people get from it?
I really think one of the biggest values is just meeting other people.
Yeah.
I joked to the people at the summer startup weekend that almost everyone in that room have come to me at some point in the last number of years and said, can you connect me to a person who could do this? Can you connect? And there's only one of me. So, and I think mostly with the whole idea of your podcast, right, we have to create like programs, events, activities, and other people and methods for people to connect beyond just like you and I making those email connections.
Yep.
So I would say, that's just a huge part of, helping people to see this value is if they're having, like if you come here and work for the day and we even let everyone know, would you like to talk to someone who started X, Y, and Z?
Sure.
And you can come chat with John and, have a coffee. That just opens up a window for people. One of our members down the hall over there, Jasmine, brought by some women earlier downstairs who have a nonprofit focus on with children with disabilities. And I told her, you need to connect them to Fuel upstairs. Brian really started Fuel and moved to Oklahoma because of his daughter with special needs. There's just a lot of other connections. And when it's so hard to have those connections be on like a LinkedIn or message on email or Facebook, then to have a space where you can do that, I think is huge.
And it seems like the value of an initial connection when it's face-to-face through somebody you met, as opposed to, I got a message on LinkedIn or I saw an ad, like it's just not even the same.
I
It's
know.
not even close, right?
Well, because it's like LinkedIn connections, you're like, is this a sale or is this an actual connection?
This person just
So there's a lot of
spamming me
people
for
on holding because I'm like, I can't tell what this is for.
Yes, right. They're not ignore or accept. They just stay in.
They just stay in the queue until like maybe I meet them and they're like, I sent you a link. Oh, you did. Thank you. Okay,
That's great. That's great. Okay, wonderful. So I've got just a few more questions for you. So the first is, I want you to imagine you're speaking to yourself like 5 years ago. So what you know now versus what you knew 5 or 6 years ago. Any advice you'd give yourself from what you know now, speaking to your 5 years ago self?
2020, Kristin.
Yeah, that's right. Like, wow. Okay.
That's a whole different type of.
Kristin know what's gonna happen with COVID. Yeah, right.
Exactly. I'm trying to think. I mean, because honestly, if you would have told me 5 years ago this is what I would be doing, I would probably be a little shocked. I think just because it was that people would financially believe in doing something like this. We were funded because of the Inasmuch Foundation, Verge OKC, and Cortado Ventures saying we need a place for people to get started and connect. If I would have known that 5 years ago, I think some of my preparation for what we do now, I'm in the throes of fundraising. We are in a nice new space.
Sure.
And so I think it would be in telling 5 years ago, Kristin, like not to be afraid to ask people for money and support. It has taken probably about a year and a half to really help people understand philanthropically why supporting the Verge would be of value. And so I think even though the Verge didn't exist 5 years ago, I think just knowing that it's okay to talk to more people about all of this that's happening and promoting it in different ways would be huge. We still are working a lot with like economic development organizations like the Chamber and other people to understand the value of programs and entities like this. So I think we were doing a lot 5 years ago, and I was to better connect the community of doers. And now it's been really focused on the community of donors and mentors. And so it would have been nice maybe 5 years ago to have known like that is a huge part of why we're able to create things like this and why we're able to build these communities. And you do need the funding dollars to do that.
Could you talk more about that? Because I really find that a lot with some of the community spaces that I speak with, and the what you've learned from like advocacy, from a funding, what do you find it does take? Is it a story? Is it some numbers? Is it a vision? What do you find is very helpful when it comes to, hey, this would be wonderful for the city or the community. Let's fund it to this amount because, like, what have you found that's helpful in that or that's useful in that?
Yeah, that's a great question because we've kind of gone through some like ebbs and flows of our philanthropic storytelling. So it's a great question because I actually would love to share this with more people. I think part of what I've had to change in my language is the Verge is a program. Yes, it's a physical space.
Yes.
But the program is the connections and the community support. and the business resources and the access to, the variety of things needed for a business. I think for so long it was easy to say like, oh, it's a building, it's a space. I think it's about what we're all doing with our spaces and the community impacts it's making. So when I can talk to people about, we have this many entrepreneurs that have their businesses that are growing here. They were able to create this many jobs because of working with us in the community. They accelerated their sales pipeline because they learned more faster. We're able to help, these 5 businesses that are getting kicked off today with G-Beta and getting better connected. They're not just at an individualized space doing this. They're now, hopefully they'll start to meet people they needed to meet faster by being here. So, so that has been a big part of it, because I think it was like, oh, you're building a new space. I don't want to contribute to construction.
Right. Nobody wants to buy chairs for you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
how this is going to impact their community if they're going to give dollars, right?
Exactly. And so I think being able to communicate the value of the space that you're providing for the programs that you're creating are huge, and what that turns into over time. And I'm trying to think, there's another thing that we've been just trying to say, like, actually when I talk to fundraising potential donors, I don't even mention coworking.
Yeah, interesting. Sure.
Because again, they think like we work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, so I think a lot of it is, what are the misconceptions that people have of like what you're doing? Because I get a lot of like, so how are you not a WeWork? And so for us to say we're a hub, we're connecting resources, we're providing pathways to resources, and et cetera, et cetera.
You said this is a nonprofit co-working space, correct? Like effectively. Yeah, right. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, because I think that's, that's a big question that's on people that run communities' mind, is like, okay, I'm trying to raise money. How do I say this? How do I do that? Yeah.
Well, and I know like here in Oklahoma City in October, there's a vote for a bond that's up. And, the city has to even keep saying like, this is not the sexy stuff. This is sidewalks. This is repairs to streets. This is lighting. Right. There is some economic impact. This is parks. But again, like these are the things that
make it livable,
right. Keep people here. Because one of the things that we like to even share is, because we exist now, we're getting a lot of college students that are hanging out here and meeting people and working on stuff. Now we're retaining talent. They could go to Dallas, they could go to Chicago, they could go to the coast.
And in the 90s, right? Everybody left Oklahoma City to go someplace else, and now they're
exactly. So it sounds funny to say like we're making it cool, but I mean, there's an element of, again, like when you're younger, you want to be involved in all the new stuff. So creating that community, or if it's a library, it's creating the connection for people to have community local events.
And literacy and education. Yeah.
Access to computers and the internet.
So I just want to leave kind of an open-ended question for you. So imagine that you're speaking to somebody that runs a community space that is not a co-working space, right? So, your libraries, your parks, your museums, churches, is there any advice that you would give to them about getting more people in the space, or advocacy, or just anything? What do you think?
So I would say, even beyond just the physical spaces you mentioned, one of the things that we've been talking to more nonprofits about as a nonprofit is not to be afraid of like creating a sustainability model for yourself. So what could you consider charging people for?
Okay, sure.
To help get something funded. And it could be that you create something. So for example, locally there's Remerge, which focuses on incarcerated mothers, helping them to get back into the system and not return to jail. They created Catalyst cookies. And so it's their own cookie recipes. The women are, making the dough. You can order them pre-made. You can order the dough. You can get them delivered fresh. So they've created a little business within their organization, but they're also empowering the women and the participants to be able to do more. And I think there's this hesitation when you are a nonprofit, or you're, providing a service that is needed, to say, is there a way that we could, make money? So I mean, again, we're a nonprofit, but we have membership fees. We have various levels. We also rent out our space so that we can make some funding off of that. So I would encourage, if it's nothing that the city would get upset about, or some sort of municipality, would get upset with, I would say figure that out, because it then helps create a pathway that you could provide some more funding for what you're doing.
For other things.
For other things, yeah. And also encourage your community to help be a part of that. I would say the other thing would be going to people that you would less or at least go to in some cases for the connections and the community growth. Again, for us to be able to connect to all the different colleges and universities, even though I went to OU, I can't always just make everything about OU.
Right.
Working with nonprofits and community groups are hosting their staff retreats here. To have just a different space to be able to do that has been huge. And then they tell a friend who started a side business, you should go to the Verge. Like it all starts to compound. So being creative of how you're reaching out to communities to bring into your space and then seeing how that turns into something else is huge.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, well, Kristin Garcia, thank you very much.
You're
So
welcome.
for people that want to know more about The Verge, about your work, where can they go? Where can they learn more?
So you can go to thevergeokc.com. You can also look at The Verge at any of the social media. So vergeokc.com and then add the for social media. Those would be our best places. I would say Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram we're most active on. Feel free to come by Monday through Friday if you're in the local area, or if you are visiting Oklahoma City and you want a place to get some work done. We're excited to be working with the Department of Commerce for the state. They're starting to bring some of their international visitors here to showcase that we're right next to the Oklahoma Bombing Memorial, which is a huge special space to be in. And so we would love to have you come and see. Don't feel like you have to pay something to just come and see what the Verge is like. We'd love to just get you here.
Wonderful, wonderful.
All right.
Kristin Garcia,
Thank you
thank
so
you very
much.
much.
So
I
great
appreciate
talking
it.
to you.
Thank you. Wonderful talking to you.